Good morning, everybody. Today's call is titled, You're Fired. And over the years, I want to explain that I've seen many dealerships terminate employees for various reasons. Most states today, in their labor law, claims they're a right-to-work state. The interesting part about this is that you really don't have to have a reason to terminate someone's employment at your dealership. Let's look at it in more detail and analyze some terminations. Some general managers believe it will motivate the team. They think firing somebody takes your employees to the next level. When they're unsure of their job and they come in and they don't know, they're walking around on eggshells and they don't know if today's the day they're going to get the axe. This, some people in management believe, is actually the right way to do business. Nothing could be further from the truth. It ruins the entire team's quality of life, runs it into the ground, causes unnecessary turnover in the dealership. You see, if they're always walking around on eggshells, wondering if they're going to be terminated, guess what? They're looking for a job at your competitor. These are the dealerships that are always introducing another advisor to the customer, and they ask the question, what happened to Dan? Or where did Susan go? And they can't get familiar with the team. So what happens to trust? Do they trust the new people? Do they trust the dealership? Or do they just get used to, I don't know anyone in here anymore. Stability in your dealership personnel is important to have your dealership maintain consistent growth. If we want to look at different management styles and analyze some of these reasons to terminate people and just walk around and say you're fired, I will tell you one of the things that we would hear is they don't perform our process. I've heard managers explain to me that this team member isn't performing the processes and needs to be fired. And when you look at the examples that they're not performing the processes, they weren't even explained. These employees weren't even explained in any kind of detail the way that the dealership wanted it done. No training was provided to show the employee how to do the right process. They were just expecting this person to perform in that manner. No coaching was performed or written out. Coaching for improvement, could some call it a write-up. But in this, if you're not, in these examples, they're not coaching their employees for improvement. They're not documenting their issues. They're not even discussing them. They just walk around and it becomes a boil, and then that person's gone. Somehow management believes switching employees is the productive way to get the process implemented they desire. The reality of this is that switching employees, you go back to square zero. They don't know either how what the expectation of the dealership or the management is. You just go back to square zero. Now, all too often I see employees that are terminated, relieved from their job. This is a life-changing experience for people. And they have bills and they have commitments, and so many of us in the United States today live paycheck to paycheck. There's no way that getting fired is productive in their life. I always took anyone that I had to terminate over the years, whenever they were in my team or required leadership, I always had a strike 3 rule, and in that I would always let them know and document, hey, here's my concern, here's my area of opportunity for your improvement, here's the expectation that I have, here's what I am seeing. And then I'd always leave on this written form a place for them to respond to what I was saying, and I'd listen to them. If it was an issue on a lack of equipment, or I can't do it for this reason or that reason, I'd legitimately discuss it. Give them the opportunity. But all too often, people are too quick to pull a trigger on somebody. And I have seen countless people, couldn't even give you a number, where if they're given encouragement and they're uplifted and explained why they do things the way they do in detail, they go out and do it, and they accomplish so much more. When they're faced with constant adversity or doubt of their employment, or they don't understand what the expectation is, it is so destructive to the result that every dealership wants to see. So why wouldn't we look at this in light of it and look at our own actions? How are we coaching our team members? Are we giving them the information they need? Are we providing for them the training they need? Or have we developed poor habits in follow-up, poor habits in training, poor habits in implementing a new process or procedure? Can't tell you in your dealership what you're experiencing, but I will say just rotating people is never a winning proposition. Integrity issues. Some people, unfortunately, are going to be found with integrity issues at the dealership. These employees are just found a way to cheat and get by or take something, and they're doing it, and it always has a pattern to it and an excuse behind it. But integrity issues, most people just terminate them immediately without mercy. I want to bring up, I have seen a few examples over time where the dealership confronts the individual and retains them as an employee successfully. I want to challenge this. This is just a very few times I've seen it. My belief remains best practice is to remove these individuals from the dealership. The primary reason removal is best practice is simple. Other staff members see that, and it may be justification for them to steal also. Well, he didn't get fired. He was stealing. He didn't get fired. I might as well partake also. You see how that could spread? Integrity to me is everything. And once you lose respect for a team member or catch them in an activity that questions the integrity, it must be immediately addressed. And it must be thoroughly thought out. Doesn't mean you don't listen, but you take immediate action. It's never pleasant. But take the immediate action that's needed. I remember one time I found a service manager was He didn't think he was stealing, but what he was doing was taking and bringing in friends and family vehicles and doing work on it, and he was submitting warranty claims instead of payment for the customer pay. That's flat out fraud. It's flat out fraud. No mercy should be given to that type of individual, and they don't deserve second chances generally. Most issues with employees will implement changes requested by management with coaching. So if you have an issue with Bill, and Bill is performing substandard in an issue, doesn't it make sense to talk with him? Explain what the expectation is, the opportunity is, coach them for improvement. Here's what we would love to see you accomplish. Here's our minimum requirement. Here's what we want to do. But I want you to go further than this today. Challenge yourself. Look at what you are doing with your staff. Are you giving them the information they need? Are you providing them the training? Do you listen to what your staff says without retribution when they disagree with an existing process? Challenge these people to provide you an alternative to the way you're doing business. Why it would benefit the customers, the staff, and the dealership. Keep an open mind and encourage input from everybody. Today, it's a lot of dealerships will remain the type that just rotate people and they think they're going to find the next best person. My belief is, look at how you're coaching your team. Give them encouragement. Uplift them. Let them know when you see them doing something right. Spell everything out in great detail, and you will be developing a team and a dealership that understands the value of the employee, value of the customer, and will command respect in the market. You have consistent growth with this practice and a better quality of life. I don't see the downside. I hope you take this information, honestly look and evaluate yourself, how you coach your team, what your expectations are. And one thing that I will explain to you, no one that I ever terminated had a question of what it was. They all knew if in my final before termination, I always had this thing. I would illustrate it and say the next time we're not going to discuss it. The next time the only thing we'll be discussing is your exit interview. Do you understand? Do this again within the next year and you'll be terminated. I don't think anyone should get fired and be surprised. It's too life-changing. It's too important to do this right. Hope everyone has a great holiday, and I appreciate your time today. Thanks for your time, and enjoy this day. Bye. People will always follow the path of least resistance. And if you think about that, people following the path of least resistance. So what's a good manager? Someone that makes the path of least resistance, compliance. And one of the things when we talk about effective labor rate and of service advisors, and believe me, I have done a lot of homework on this. It's one of the things I not only talk about often, it's a critical component of being profitable. So picture this happening at your store. I'm an advisor, and I quoted 50 bucks. So I'm doing my estimate, and the technician goes, I need 1.5. That was a rusty bolt. I need 1.5 for this. And you go, all right, whatever, I don't want to argue with you, so the path of least resistance then is to let that tech roll. So they're billing the RO out, and they go, oh man, that's way over my estimate. What's that advisor do? Well, the path of least resistance is just to cut the bill. I'll cut the price down. I'll keep the tech happy, but I'll go ahead, let's try 40 bucks an hour. Oh man, I'm still 15 bucks over. Let's try 30 bucks an hour. Oh, now I'm 20 below my estimate. Print. Press the print button. You see, and the thing about that is that then no one's looking at that. Very few of us monitor that. I love some of the programs that are coming out right now where we can actually analyze with pushing a button who is compliant to the program. But are you looking at exceptions reports? Are we asking the advisors in your team what they've done? Same thing with the tech accountability. When we want to know we're standing firm on our pricing structure, we have to ask a few questions, don't we? Hey, what happened? Would you look at this RO with me? What happened on RO 18652? And you bring it up on a screen, and you go, we got 2.5 hours, and its effective rate of only $18. And if it was their cousin or them following the path of least resistance and making a tech happy, what happens with that? They go, I don't know how he found that. How did he find that RO? They've never asked me about anything like this. So in their brain, in the thing, that little thing between our ears, I guarantee you, again, I'm not a mind reader, but I can tell you they're thinking that. Well, I can't be discounting like that anymore, can I? He's looking. They're watching this thing. They're serious. They're looking at this.